US and Cuban officials are meeting in Washington this Friday for a second round of talks aimed at improving relations. Charlotte Hawkins takes a look at some of the issues that diplomats will be discussing.
It was a remarkable announcement greeted by celebrations in the streets. Cuba and the US working to normalise relations after 54 years. A historic first round of talks in January, and now comes the second, focused on reopening embassies. A precondition for Cuba is having sanctions removed from its banks. It also wants the US to take Cuba off its terrorism list, something the US says shouldn't be a prerequisite, although it has begun a formal review.
Cuba has been on this list since 1982, but every year the State Department reviews it, they conclude that there is less and less evidence or support for Cuba being on this list.
For the US, it says talks should stick to standard issues regulating embassy functions. It wants its diplomats to be able to move freely in Cuba and allowed to meet with political dissidents if they wish. All to be discussed in just one day of talks, but normalising relations will be a lengthy process, according to former President Fidel Castro's son. Talks have not even touched yet on the US trade embargo against Cuba.
I think it is good to have expectations, but in fact, the expectations do not match the reality. We hope the normalization of bilateral relations can be realized in the future.
More optimistic, the US hopes to reach an agreement on turning this building back into an embassy in time for a summit in Panama in April. A third round of talks between the two former foes is expected to take place before then.